When I was a kid growing up in the 60s, you had the big antenna on the back of the car, on the back of the station.
Unbelievable background. David is a physicist, inventor, spiritual researcher, known for his work in frequency healing, based healing, Tesla technology, scalar energy, consciousness science. He blends quantum physics and metaphysical concepts to develop tools aimed at personal healing, consciousness expansion, and energy alignment. And more recently,
This symbiotic resonance together when radio stations like that, which there's less and less of today because we use the internet today, were causing the human nervous system to vibrate at these frequencies. And that was causing an evolution in our consciousness. And so that's where I start.
Wow, unbelievable. So I was looking through some of your information, and just before we came on, we talked about how you're in communication with your deceased wife, and the communication is unbelievable. And she gave you like a number to look up, and it related to the pyramids and the probably what we're seeing right now with 3i Atlas. So unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually the Admiral Tim Gallaudet. I saw an interview with him on the UAP discussion with Lieutenant Ryan Graves, who is this, fighter pilot in the Atlantic coast who and his buddies were chasing these cube with a sphere interfaced UFO UAPs on the Atlantic coast. And in his interview with Admiral Gallaudet was saying we need to also look in the near-death experience to really understand what's going on. I'm going to show you. I'll just do a share screen with my calculator what my wife did, because my wife dies August 9th, 2021. She was just under 42 years old, and the mother of our two daughters. So from the day she dies, August 9th, 591 days later, she calls out my name like an opera singer. And my wife was a trained opera singer and jazz singer, Crystal Menchaca-Cerita.
Beautiful.
So I see this number, never seen this number before in my life, but when you see what it can do, it's going to blow your mind. I divide it by the golden ratio, which is a ratio we find in the human brain, the Fibonacci spiral that spirals out of our hairlines. In fact, the ratio of my fingertips to my wrist to my elbow is pretty much 1 to the golden ratio.
Right.
We see it in plants. We see it in the spiral in Milky Way galaxies and seashells. Like if you look at a snail, those are all golden ratio spirals. So that's all I'm doing is taking her number and divide it by 1.618033987. I can do this repeatedly. And when I do it once, that is the exact 99.999% sidereal orbit for Earth, meaning it takes that many days to go around the sun. I was so stunned when I saw this. I said, my wife is 1 to the golden ratio from Earth, which means that's where heaven is, because nobody knows where Jesus went when the 11 apostles saw him on his ascension day, 39 or 40 days after Easter, going up into the sky. Like, I was a skydiver, and I trained at Edwards Air Force Base for high altitude skydiving. So a human body cannot breathe above 15,000 feet. In fact, you can't breathe much 15,000 feet. So Jesus is physical. He's going, where is he going? And where can you breathe? Like, nobody even asked this question.
Yeah.
So this number is so stunning. I'm going to do it again. So when I hit equals, it's just going to hit divided by the golden ratio again. That's the orbit of Venus, like accurate to because Venus orbits the sun in 225 days.
Yep.
And I do it again, and I get a hypothetical orbit of 139.516 days. This number lines up perfectly with the ascension date of Jesus, starting at the new sun in a calendar year. And it also lines up perfectly with the miracle of the sun at Fatima, Portugal in 1917.
Yes.
Right? Because the first day at Fatima, Portugal, when the Mother Mary appears to these 3 children, is May the 13th, 1917. So you take May the 13th minus 139 days, you're at December 25th. Christmas Day. So why is that? Because Christmas is 3 days after winter solstice, right? Which is the change of the seasons and the marking of a new year. So why is that? Well, I'm going to do it again. So it lines up with Jesus' Ascension Day. It actually lines up with the Buddha's birthday, and it also lines up with the miracle of the sun at Fatima. Now, the actual miracle of the sun at Fatima is October 13th, which is 2 orbits of planet 139, which shouldn't be there because astronomers today, and this is going to be important when we get to 3i Atlas, astronomers today believe that 100,000 people on a hillside in Portugal in 1917 all hallucinated this what appeared to be an annular ring style eclipse of the sun